At my son's graduation celebration, my sister discarded his gift bag in the trash and remarked, "He'll amount to nothing." I took his hand and left without a word. The following morning, my father called in a frenzy. "Please contact the bank before they take her car." If there's one decision I regret, it's inviting my sister to my son's graduation event. Her name is Amanda, and she still resides in the same house she grew up in Rock Hill, South Carolina. She never ventured out, never pursued anything beyond clinging to those around her, siphoning whatever she could. We've been distant for years, but family ties still held weight for my parents. Even though I relocated to Raleigh, built a life, and established our family business from the ground up with my husband, I was still expected to accommodate her, assist her, and fix her mistakes. 2 weeks before the celebration, Amanda appeared at my doorstep unannounced. No call, just rang the bell like she belonged there, wearing a smile as if she'd just left a sermon. She asked to talk, but I knew it wasn't about my son, Evan. She admitted she was behind on her car payments, 3 months, maybe 4. The bank was threatening to seize her vehicle any day, and she asked if our business could bail her out one last time. She called it a small favor. I declined, not harshly, just firmly. The business wasn't her personal ATM. My husband, our sons, and I had poured everything into it, summers, late nights, weekends. Every cent went back into growing it. Amanda had borrowed from us 3 times before and never repaid a dime. The last time we helped, it took 6 months to recover. She didn't argue, just stared at me for a long moment and said, "You'll be sorry." I didn't take her seriously. Fast forward to the graduation event. I'd reserved a simple venue near our home. Evan wanted something understated, no big spectacle, just close family, a few friends, good food, music, and room to relax. It mattered to me. He deserved it. Evan had worked tirelessly, part-time job, stellar grades, and a full scholarship to NC State for engineering. This event was our way of honoring his effort. Everything was going smoothly, guests eating, laughing, snapping photos with Evan, leaving cards and small gifts. I finally let my guard down. Then Amanda arrived, nearly an hour late, in a tight white dress, as if it were her moment to shine. She carried a shiny gold gift bag in one hand and a coffee cup in the other. My parents saw her first and looked puzzled. She hadn't confirmed her attendance or replied to the family group chat, but they embraced her anyway. She sauntered to the gift table, eyeing it like she was browsing a store. Then, looking at Evan's gifts, she smirked and declared loudly, "He'll never make it anyway," tossing the gold gift bag into the trash bin nearby. The room went silent, as if the air had been sucked out. A few guests chuckled nervously, thinking it was a jest, but Amanda just stood there, smirking. Evan looked at me, silent. I walked over, took his hand, and we left without explanation, without looking back. We drove home and sat on the couch in silence. I wanted to scream or cry, but all I could do was sit beside him, feeling the weight of it all. The next morning, just after dawn, my phone rang. It was Dad, not asking about Evan or the party, just diving into a panic about Amanda's car facing repossession. He begged me to call the bank, saying I was the only one they'd take seriously. I listened, then said no. She'd made her choice, and I was done rescuing her. By noon, the family group chat had 17 unread messages. Mom started with something vague and tiring. "Let's not ruin a lovely day with drama. We're family." Then my uncle from Florida asked why Evan seemed so shaken when we left, followed by cousins speculating he might have anxiety or stage fright. Amanda stayed silent, letting others guess, letting the confusion twist into sympathy for her. That's her tactic. She doesn't confront or defend. She lets others rush to her defense, making excuses for her. By evening, Dad showed up at my door. No greeting, just walked in like he owned the place, holding a manila envelope and a familiar expression. He was here to bargain. I didn't offer him coffee. He placed the envelope on the kitchen table, bank documents for Amanda's car loan refinance, credit reports, payoff details, cosigner forms. He said he'd already spoken to the bank manager, and it would be simple if I signed. I didn't touch the envelope. He said the bank gave her until Friday, or her car would be taken Monday morning. He claimed Amanda was too humiliated to ask me herself. Humiliated, the same woman who shamed my son in front of 50 people. Then Dad said something unforgettable. "She's just hurting. She thought this was her moment, too. Her moment." I stared, waiting for him to correct himself, but he kept talking about how Amanda felt I got everything growing up, how Evan reminded her of what she lacked, how I should be the bigger person. I stayed calm and said no. He went quiet, pushed the envelope closer, and said he hoped I'd change my mind before it was too late. I didn't respond. He left without a goodbye. That night, Evan was in his room sorting through graduation cards. I noticed the gold gift bag on his bed, the one Amanda threw away. I asked where it came from, and he said a friend grabbed it before we left and gave it to him. Inside was no gift, just a crumpled note in Amanda's handwriting. "You'll be back soon." Not congratulations or good luck, just a spiteful jab predicting he'd fail and return like she did. That's when my guilt vanished. I opened the business ledger, pulled Amanda's file, and checked her status. She'd been listed as a consultant for 4 years. A fake title Dad pressured me to give her so she could claim she worked with us. She hadn't done any work in over 2 years, but still received $300 monthly via direct deposit. I canceled it that night, removed her from payroll, revoked her email access, and erased her name from the website. All of it done quietly and permanently. By morning, the storm hit. Amanda texted, "There's an issue with my account." Then, "Did you cut me off? What is this?" Then nothing. 2 hours later, "If you don't fix this, I'll tell the family everything you've done." I didn't reply. I was done defending myself. But Amanda wasn't finished. The next 2 days were oddly calm. No texts, calls, or cryptic social media posts. I knew better, though. She wasn't quiet out of remorse. She was plotting. That's her way. She waits, builds tension, then strikes when you're off guard. Thursday morning, I arrived at the office early. I'd barely parked when Marcus, a warehouse supervisor, flagged me down. He said a woman tried to enter the side door the previous night around 11 p.m., claiming she worked there and her badge wasn't working. It was Amanda, shameless as ever. I checked the security footage. There she was, rattling the door, holding up her expired badge to the camera like it would open. That was it. I called it and had her wiped from every system, not just payroll, but employee portals, vendor access, everything. We'd let her keep the consultant title on paper to appease Dad, and she'd used it to impress friends and land gigs she never completed. That facade was over. I didn't stop there. I logged into the business credit account. She hadn't used it in a year, but her name was still listed as an authorized user. I removed her, closed her profile, changed the password. Then I called Dad. He answered like he'd been waiting. I told him Amanda tried to break into the building, still claiming she worked for us, and that I'd file a police report for trespassing if she tried again. He was silent for a long time, then said, "She's struggling. She's scared." As if fear justified humiliating my son and playing victim while trying to sneak back into a life she hadn't earned. He said she was under pressure and needed space to sort things out. I told him she could have all the space she wanted, just not on my property. He didn't argue, just said, "I hope this doesn't go too far." I didn't tell him it already had. Friday arrived, the bank's deadline. That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. I should have ignored it, but answered. It was Amanda, not angry or tearful, but smug. "You know this won't last," she said. "You always cave. You can't stay mad at me." I hung up. That night, Evan and I went to dinner, just us two. I needed to escape my thoughts, and he needed to know his future wasn't defined by her words. We didn't talk much until dessert. Then he said, "I saw what you did with the business with her." I asked what he meant. He said, "You always put others first. You finally stopped." Then he added, "I'm proud of you." I didn't cry, though I wanted to, because I realized this wasn't just about Amanda. It was about the example I was setting, the strength I was showing him. Saturday morning, Mom texted a single line, no greeting. "Amanda's car was taken this morning. She's crashing on a friend's couch. Hope you're satisfied." I stared at the message for a while. She didn't mention Evan, didn't ask how he was, didn't address what Amanda did, just guilt as always. But I was done complying. Amanda had always relied on me to catch her, to clean up her chaos, to soften her fall for our parents. I used to do it without thinking, believing that's what family meant, but she'd never reciprocated. This time I stepped back and let her fall. By Sunday, the guilt campaign was in full force. Mom, Dad, then Lisa, our cousin 2 states away who hasn't visited in years, texted like we were close. All pushing the same narrative. Amanda's struggling, she's fragile, she's sorry but too ashamed to say it, she didn't mean it that way. No one mentioned Evan or what she'd done to him. All that mattered was Amanda's discomfort. I didn't respond. Monday was quiet, no messages, no calls, no more pleas. Evan and I spent the day shopping for his dorm, sheets, headphones, a mini fridge, things I couldn't afford when I was in college. I felt calm for the first time in a week. But Tuesday morning, as I walked into the office with coffee, a red alert flashed on my computer. Unusual activity on the business account. A $2,500 withdrawal at 11:43 p.m. I hadn't touched the account in days. I called the accountant, who sounded anxious. The withdrawal used Amanda's old credentials. ones I thought I'd deactivated. He mentioned a secondary access profile from years ago, created when Dad insisted Amanda needed it for reports she never generated. She'd found it, used it, and stole from us. The money was gone, transferred to an untraceable personal account. I drove to the office, locked myself in the conference room, and reviewed every log. I called the bank to freeze all access points she might know. It took less than an hour to lock her out completely. Then I did something I never thought I would. I called Dad. He didn't sound surprised. When I told him about the theft, he paused, not in shock, but like he was calculating what I knew. He said, "She told me she was desperate. I didn't think she'd go behind your back." I asked, "Did you know she planned this?" He didn't deny it, just said she'd asked him to talk to me, that he figured she'd find a way. I said, "You helped her." He didn't answer, then added, "She needed breathing room. I sent her $1,200 last week to keep her afloat. You weren't responding." It hit me hard. He wasn't just enabling her. He was funding her. I hung up without another word. I sat there, staring at the evidence. Amanda had been stealing and lying. Dad had been giving her money behind my back. Mom was sending me articles about forgiveness. I filed a police report that night, not to see Amanda in jail, but to have proof if she claimed it was a mistake. I needed a record that said, "I warned you. You did it anyway." That night, I got home around 9 p.m. Evan was in the kitchen making a sandwich. He didn't ask what happened, just said he overheard my call with the accountant. I braced for him to be upset, worried about the business or the family. Instead, he said, "Good." I asked what he meant. He said, "You can't keep fixing her. She doesn't get to do this forever. You showed me that." Then he showed me his phone. He deleted the family group chat, every message, every guilt trip gone. He said, "We don't need them in our house." That's when I knew it wasn't just me who was done. My son was too. The next day, everything changed. I woke to 21 missed calls, 5 from Amanda, 9 from Mom, 1 from Lisa, the rest from Dad. He didn't text, just called relentlessly like he could wear me down. I didn't return any. I sent the police report to our lawyer and emailed the accountant. "If any funds go missing again, report to me directly. No exceptions." The calls stopped by afternoon. I figured they were regrouping. Later, Lisa posted a vague, dramatic rant on Facebook about choosing money over family. She didn't name me, but it was obvious. Amanda liked it. Mom left a broken heart emoji. I didn't engage. I wasn't playing their game. Then silence for 2 days, no texts, no memes, no voicemails. It felt like the calm before a storm. On Saturday, my husband walked out with his phone saying, "You won't believe this." Amanda had gone to my parents' house that morning, demanding a family meeting to clear the air. My parents, weary and embarrassed, agreed. She didn't know I knew. Lisa had accidentally forwarded me the text thread. The meeting was set for Sunday, no time or place yet, but Amanda's goal was clear. She wanted control of the business. She told my parents I was too emotional to manage it and that it needed her fresh perspective, from someone who hadn't worked a day in over a year. I didn't wait. That night, I sent one final message to my parents, Lisa and Amanda. No meeting. Amanda is permanently out of the business. Any further attempts to access accounts, property, or systems will be treated as crimes. The door is closed. I blocked Amanda's number immediately. I hesitated over Mom and Dad's contacts until midnight, then blocked them too, not out of anger, but for peace. I realized they only pulled me back because I'd never fully closed the door. So I did, and they finally saw it was locked. After that message, I expected a blow-up, a tantrum, a plea something. But nothing came, not that day or the next week. I posted a photo of Evan outside his dorm, stepping into the life he'd earned. The family's silence was loud. No likes, no messages, no congratulations. That's when I knew they weren't just backing off. They were gone, not because they understood, but because they had nothing left to take. The peace was unexpected, like realizing how much noise I'd lived with before. No more tiptoeing, no more fake pleasantries laced with guilt, no more watching Evan tense at her name. The business flourished. We signed a new contract 2 weeks after erasing Amanda's presence. The client praised our professionalism. I didn't ask what they meant. I knew Amanda had caused damage and removing her fixed it. Evan called often, sometimes for advice, sometimes just to chat. Every call ended with, "I'm glad we left that behind." I didn't correct him, we didn't leave it. We cut it out and locked the door. There's a difference. A month after Mom's last text blaming me for Amanda's car, an email arrived late at night, no subject, from an address with Amanda's middle name. She'd made a new account to bypass the block. It was brief. She was in Georgia, staying with a friend, doing better, planning a consulting business, and wanted vendor contacts from our network. Just a few names, she said, like we were still partners. I stared at the screen, then closed it, blocked the email, and moved on. No reply, no reaction. It was her last attempt to slip through the crack and grab something. The door was already locked. 2 months after Evan's graduation, we had dinner on the porch, watching the sunset like when he was little. He asked if I thought they'd come back. I said maybe. They always circle back when they think time has softened you. He asked what I'd do. I told him I'd act like I didn't hear the knock. There's freedom in realizing you don't owe forgiveness just because of blood. Amanda burned every bridge, and when she ran out of matches, she tried to use mine. She didn't get them, and she never would. Some doors don't need slamming, they just need to stay locked. 3.5 months after Amanda's last message, the silence felt normal. I stopped expecting it to break. Evan was thriving at college, the business was solid, and life felt like ours. Then yesterday, Amanda walked into my office. No warning, no call, just strolled through the front door like it was hers. A new receptionist, unaware, buzzed her in because Amanda claimed she had a meeting. I was reviewing invoices when I saw her in my doorway. She looked different, not worse, just like a stranger I once knew. She smiled and said, "I just want to talk." I didn't speak, just called security. She got loud, called it petty, said I was tearing the family apart, claimed she had nowhere else to go. I didn't react. Security escorted her out in under a minute. As they did, she shouted, "This isn't over." But it is. It truly is. The cameras recorded everything. I filed a trespassing report with the police.